The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Welcome to Learn About Law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, and today we're going to talk about what happens if the parties to a divorce reconcile after the divorce has been filed. So we're going to talk about dismissal of divorce proceedings, suspension of divorce proceedings, and what happens if the parties remarry after the divorce is final. So let's talk about dismissal first. For some foundational information to help you understand how this works, got to explain some terms here. So the petitioner is the person who filed for the divorce. The respondent is the person who is responding to the divorce, not the person who filed. So the divorce is initiated by filing a divorce petition, and then once the respondent is served with a divorce petition, the respondent has to file an answer to the divorce petition. So this is important because in determining what it takes to dismiss a divorce, if the petitioner has filed the petition already, but the respondent hasn't filed his or her answer, the petitioner, the person who filed the divorce petition, can unilaterally dismiss the divorce. So if you file a divorce petition but the answer hasn't come back yet and the parties decide to reconcile, then the person who filed the petition, without getting the other person involved, can dismiss the divorce proceeding. If the answer has been filed, then mutual agreement of the parties is necessary in order to dismiss the divorce. So once the answer is filed, even if you're the person who filed for divorce, you can't dismiss the divorce case without the consent of the other person. Next, let's talk about suspension of the divorce. So this is a great option for people who want to try to reconcile but aren't sure whether it's going to work. So a divorce proceeding always requires multiple, well, it doesn't always require, but often requires multiple court dates. There's things that have to go on in the background, like exchange of discovery. Sometimes you want to put an end to the legal fees, end to the court dates, and press pause on the divorce to see if you can bring the marriage back together. This can be done by putting the case on the court's reconciliation calendar. This basically terminates any future court dates. It doesn't terminate the case, but it just basically puts the case on pause for an indefinite amount of time. And there's no next date that you have to appear in court. The case isn't dismissed. So if the parties successfully reconcile, then they can choose to dismiss the case, take it off the reconciliation calendar, and just dismiss the case completely. If the parties fail to reconcile, then they can basically reactivate the case and put it on the normal court calendar and pick up where they left off with the divorce. This is helpful because dismissal, if you dismiss the case, if you're trying to reconcile and you're not sure it's going to take, and you dismiss the case rather than suspending it and putting it on this reconciliation calendar, and then you later decide you want to reinitiate the case, well, you have to start from scratch. You have to refile the petition. You have to reserve summons. You have everything that was done in the previous case is out the window. So you've got to repay all of your legal fees, court costs, and there's also, you have to do a new 6-month waiting period of living separate and apart unless the parties both waive it. So, when you filed your initial divorce proceeding, you had to live apart for 6 months. That doesn't count towards the second divorce proceeding if you dismiss that case. So once it's dismissed, it's a fresh start, and that's not as good necessarily if you're not sure about the reconciliation. It's just suspending the divorce, giving it some time, and if the reconciliation sticks, then you dismiss it. Finally, let's talk about remarriage after the divorce is final. So if a case is suspended, the parties still aren't divorced. But if the case goes through a final divorce divorce order is entered, and the parties later reconcile, then they can certainly get remarried, but it's a brand new marriage. So it doesn't automatically void out everything that was in the previous divorce order. So even if there was marital property that was previously jointly owned and it was divided up in the first divorce, the parties get remarried, whatever property was given to them in the first divorce, even marital property, they keep in the new marriage, and it doesn't automatically become marital property again unless they commingle it and decide to make it marital property. Spousal maintenance and child support payments will stop if the parties get remarried. So that is terminated. One thing to consider, though, is that if the parties get remarried, the duration of the second marriage, not the first or the total time that the parties were married, but only the duration of the second marriage will determine spousal maintenance payments. So a big factor in how long you're going to pay spousal maintenance is how long the actual marriage was. If the parties were married for 30 years the first time around, and spousal maintenance payments are ordered, in without limitation, basically in perpetuity, and then they get remarried, and then they get divorced a second time. If the second marriage is only a year, your permanent spousal maintenance is out the window. You're going to start over with a very short spousal maintenance period because the second marriage was very short. So that's really all you need to know about suspending and dismissing a divorce if you reconcile. If you have any questions, please leave questions in our comments section. We'll try to answer them as quickly as possible, maybe do a blog article on them. If you'd like, please subscribe to us on YouTube or SoundCloud. Like us on Facebook, and please review us on iTunes. You can call me for an initial consultation at 630-324-6666. Thank you so much for listening and watching.
Thanks so much for watching our video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Click the subscribe button for new videos every week, and download and review us on iTunes. Visit learn-about-law.com for other legal-related articles and videos. Visit our business podcast and video blog, seizeyourbusiness.com, and visit Making Real Estate Fun for real estate videos and podcasts. Call us at 630-324-6666 for a free consultation.